Brought to you by Penguin.
Victory for the Shipyard Girls. Written by Nancy Revell. Read by Janine Birkett. The moral right of the author has been asserted. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Confucius, 551 to 479 BC. Prologue. Guildford Registry Office, Saturday the 10th of January 1942.
Will you, Rosie Eloise Thornton, take this man, Peter Archibald Miller, as your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do you part?
Rosie looked at her lover, the only man she had ever fallen in love with. The man who might well make her a widow longer than he would a wife. And she smiled. It was a smile full of both happiness and sadness. "Yes, I do," she said, looking into Peter's serious, deep blue eyes. The elderly registrar pushed his gold-rimmed glasses back up the bridge of his nose before turning his attention to the groom, who he guessed must be twice the age of his bride. A bride who was very attractive, despite the flecks of tiny scars he could make out underneath her makeup, and who was wearing the most vibrant red dress he'd ever seen. Nothing, however, surprised him these days.
"And do you, Peter Archibald Miller, take this woman, Rosie Eloise Thornton, to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do you part?" the registrar asked.
"I do,"
Peter said, not taking his eyes off his bride, the woman who had turned his life upside down, and who had brought him a love that he had never thought existed. A woman he'd thought he had lost forever, but who had travelled almost 300 miles to be with him for what might turn out to be their last days together. The registrar looked down at Peter's hand, which was holding a simple 18-carat gold band, one he had bought just that morning from a jeweller's a few doors down from their hotel. Peter took his cue.
"With this ring I thee wed."
Peter took hold of Rosie's left hand as gently as he could, and slid the gold band onto her wedding ring finger. Her hand felt cold, and he had to stop himself from rubbing it warm. The registrar looked at Peter and Rosie, cleared his throat and declared, "I now pronounce you man and wife." Peter was already bending his head to kiss his new bride, as the registrar added rather belatedly, "You may now kiss the bride." Kissing her new husband back, Rosie couldn't stop herself blushing at the public display of affection, even though it was an anticipated part of the short ceremony. The registrar forced a cough.
"If you can both just sign here and here."
He didn't want to hurry them, but he was aware that he was running out of time. This particular couple had been squeezed in at the last minute. He looked behind the newlyweds and gave the nod to the two witnesses standing quietly to the side. They were both registry office clerical workers, and this was not the first time they had been called upon to be witnesses of late. In fact, they had been called upon dozens of times in the last year, as so many special licenses had been granted since the declaration of war. Rosie put her small bouquet of white pansies down on the wooden table. Peter had insisted his wife at least have a wedding bouquet, even if it was just a modest one. After all, she had not even had the chance.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?